All right, so I am here with Garrett Brookman, a top agent at Impact Real Estate. Garrett has just every year he's been with Impact Real Estate, he has grown his business, he's exceeded, he's won top agent of the year, year after year. Man, I just like to get right into it. So thank you for being here.
Cool, absolutely.
All right, so I know that you and I love telling this story, and it's probably going to get funny real quick, but here we go. How did you get into real estate?
Okay, real estate. Let's see. I'd always been in the restaurant industry, right? I've been like server, bartender, multiple restaurants and stuff. I was working at Crush and Brew in Old Town Temecula. Loved the job, loved what I did. And, I met a bunch of different people during that time. One which included you, Justin, our lender, a few other people too. I don't know how many details we're gonna get into this, but it was some sporting event or something, and you guys were on a good one. I mean, that's why you guys came into the bar. You know what I'm saying? Most bartenders don't usually talk to dudes a lot, but we bullshitted for like 2 or 3 hours. You guys gave me a bomb tip. You left, and that was that, right? And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even know you were in real estate. I didn't know any of that, right?
I purposely didn't let you know that because from what I remember that day, we started drinking at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
because it was World Cup and it was the United States against Ireland. And so drinking in an Irish bar at 8 a.m. just seemed like a great idea at the time. By the time we stumbled in at 2 o'clock, or 3, you're right, we were on a good one. So I remember you behind the bar just really working the crowd, and I remember saying to Justin, like, he would be an amazing real estate agent. But then drunk brain was like, don't say anything. That's weird. So I'll let you take it from there. I'm gonna interject every once in a
Okay.
while.
No, I like how this is how this plays out and stuff. So cool. Yeah, I mean, again, I thought nothing of it. I see hundreds of people a day. 2 weeks later, it was literally 2 weeks later, sometime it was like noon on a Sunday, and no one was in the bar, and you came in by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Cool, whatever. I didn't even honestly really remember you, and
Sure.
you sat down. You didn't even say anything either. You ordered like a sample beer, whatever, blah blah blah, and then you like canceled the beer and you just like got a water and like you didn't want any food, right? And I was like,
Sounds like me.
a little weird, but what it is, what it is. We get all types, I guess. Long story short, you started asking me questions, which isn't out of the normal, and I just started bouncing back. Some of the questions you asked though were like where I was at in my life and what do you think my future, what plans I had for my future. And long story short, I was in this middle phase of my life where I just gotten out of this kind of a bad relationship, a long-term relationship. Was half in, half out with college and really what I wanted to do. I was 25 at the time, and I really didn't know, and I was very upfront with it and honest. By the end of this time, while you're at the bar, you're like, have you ever thought about real estate? I said, bro, I live with my mom. I got roommates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know a thing about real estate. I don't even know what that means, right? You said, you know what, man? If I think you'd be really good. If you want to make a cool 80 to 100K a year, hit me up, right? And you gave me your card, and your card had, that big.
Yeah, I mean, it already sounds douchey enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep it going.
Yeah. So me being a bartender, like I didn't know that real estate, you're supposed to have your face on your card.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It is kind of weird.
Like, imagine if the rest of the world did advertising the way real estate agents did. So like if you went on Amazon and it was just Jeff Bezos' face, or if you went to the Apple website and everything was Steve Jobs. That would be weird.
It'd be weird.
But for some reason, for real estate agents, it's like, I want to put my face on my car.
Yeah. And not only on like the car in front of your house. I've always thought that was weird.
Yeah.
But the weirdest thing with your card was that yours was the entire card was your face.
Yeah.
Like my card is like, my face is like kind of over here.
Yeah, it's so weird.
But the idea is I took that card, thought about it all day, and then I went on Google. I went on Google and started looking you up, and I was like, oh, okay, well, shit, this guy has a huge, insane amount of reviews. You do a ton of sales, like you're all over the place. And I was like, well, that seems really legit. I ended up calling you that evening after all that.
And what did I say?
And you pick up the phone and you're like, hey man, I'm like, hey, it's Garrett, that bartender. You're like, cool. And I'm like, hey, what did I say? I think I was like, I
signed up for my test.
Oh, no, that wasn't it. I didn't sign up for my test. I said, hey, I'm interested in the opportunity, right? And you said, hey, you know what? You called me, and that's the first step. And he's all, step number 2 is meeting me for lunch. Yeah. So cutting way further into it, we met. Still didn't know what I was doing. You mentored me during that whole time. I signed up for my license immediately that night.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember you signing up, and I remember thinking, like, he's done more than 99% of people that I talked to about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just saying, sign up.
Yeah, which I didn't even know too. Oh, and by the way, I mean, like, it was like $300 to sign up, and as for me, that's a good, strong 2 nights of tips, sure. And I was like, I was committed. So that's really the beginning, and that's how it started.
So right when you got started, what were some of the immediate challenges that you faced?
It's funny because we started like kind of training and talking, and I mean, we honestly started training right off the bat. And I think it was just the whole diving into it before even any real estate like showings or anything. I think the biggest thing that I recollect is phone calls.
Yeah.
Phone calls. And me kind of being where I'm at now, and getting into the mode of what's the most important thing into real estate. And I mean, being good on the phone is huge. And a lot of real estate agents to this day that I know are not into it. They're afraid of it. Mm-hmm. I was afraid. You were afraid of me on the calls, Sure. So I would say that was one of the toughest things, Tony with the Bluetooth,
Tony, yeah. Man.
One of the first calls I had.
We called that guy every week.
Yeah, called it follow up and stuff. Yeah. So that was one of the biggest things is phone calls. Number 2, I would say is I didn't know at the time, but like where to get business, like what a good thing about you was that I always remember is when we were training and stuff, you'd always aim at different avenues of business, mm-hmm. right? Like we would do calls, we would do calls, and then we'd go drop flyers in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Then we'd go and after that we'd have seller contacts and we'd go drop bunt cakes.
I was just remembering that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is literally, we called it dropping the bunt.
Yeah.
And you drop like a little bunt cake with seller info, and you got leads that way.
Yeah.
To me, in the beginning, I had no idea what that even was, and I just was doing what we do.
Yeah.
Looking back on that, I was like, wow, like you do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, because I mean, now you've been a homeowner for years, and you probably get the same flyer that everyone gets, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah.
How do you, a big ass cake on the front door,
dude,
it's gonna make a difference.
Absolutely.
I'm actually talking to a guy right now, and he's like, yeah, you brought cupcakes to my house like 6 years ago, and we ate them all, and we moved, but now we want to sell our house. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So when you started, what were some of the frustrations that you experienced?
So fast forward to actually passing and getting my my license. I've always had this. I've always been hungry, and a lot of people, they're 50-50. They're kind of like scared of what to do. Then you have your extremely hungry people who, people can think they're hungry, but then there's actual pure hunger for doing whatever it takes. And I had that, and I just didn't know what to do with that hunger, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first week, I was like waiting for something, I was like, I just didn't know what to do. I made some BS flyer, remember? Like, dude, I made some BS flyer on my laptop. Didn't even make sense. It was stupid. You even told me, I texted to you, you're like, that does look kind of stupid. Like it doesn't even mean anything.
Right.
Which is a good part about you. You're pretty upfront about it. I printed them out anyways, and I remember walking Red Hawk Circle. I don't even know if you know this. I walked Red Hawk Circle and door knocked with these flyers.
I didn't.
Dude, had no idea what I was saying. Nothing ever came of it. So, that was my biggest, in the beginning, you have this idea that like, man, I thought I was going to get like 3 sales.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to show you up. I thought I was going to like, dude, I was like, this idiot said it was a dumb idea to do these stupid flyers. Yeah. And watching me get like 3 listings in his neighborhood. It was like right down the street from your neighborhood, The next big thing is knowledge and experience. how I look at it, because I've been asked so many different times, by a lot of family members, friends, to get into real estate. I mean, my mom got into real estate, my friends got into real estate, like everyone's gotten into real estate that I know. There is a huge, not learning curve, but I could call it a learning curve of just knowledge that you just acquire. And I want to say it's 6 months is minimum, up to a year plus of learning until you're like actually comfortable, like knowing a lot of stuff, that was the tough part about the first year, I'd say. But just like anybody else, I'd say once you get past that, oh my God, like it all opens up, So I'd say that first year, no matter what, I always tell everybody, like, hang in there, keep doing everything you can do. I mean, you are going to just mess up and mess up and mess up. Remember I messed up the first deal? There's a hole in the floor.
Yeah.
It happens, right?
Yeah. I paid for it.
Yeah, and he paid for it, But with those mess ups comes learning. You know what I'm saying? So once you do mess up, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to do that next time. So that's what I would say was the challenge is knowledge and really knowing what to do right when I got my license.
So what personal issues, and only if you're comfortable, what personal issues could you share that you were maybe dealing with during the time that you were getting your real estate license and even ramping up?
The biggest, finances. I mean, that's the hardest thing. Not really the hardest, but yeah. Let's just be blunt about it. Like you jump into real estate just thinking you're gonna start and make like 20 grand in the first 2 months. I had to keep my bartending job for the first 6 months. So not only that, the whole time I trained while getting my license for 5 months, I was still working in bartending. The first, I think up until 6 months, it could have been 4 now that I think about it, because I closed those 3 deals and then I quit. That was the biggest thing is I was trying to work, but also handle transactions like behind the scenes, which I didn't mind. But again, I also had a bartending, like a restaurant job. So it was later in the night, so I could still do like all my real estate stuff during the day.
Yeah. I kind of remember you reaching like this pivotal moment of where it's like, you feel like you should keep the bartender job because it's so stable, but then it reached like this point where I was like, okay, you've now hit that point where every hour now that you are at the bartending job, you're losing money that you could be making in real estate. And I think that's the point that everyone eventually wants to hit when they're in the business. If you have a job, that's good, keep it. But you touched on one of the biggest misconceptions in real estate. It's like, oh, I'm just going to get a license and I'm going to go sell a house. I'm going to make $10,000, $15,000. And it's kind of like when a doctor goes to school or when a lawyer goes to school. They go to school for years and years and they teach them everything that they are supposed to know to do the job, but they don't teach them the one thing that they really should teach them is client acquisition. They don't teach them, if you're going to school to be a doctor, then you don't get paid unless you have a client. Same with being a lawyer. You can go to school for 8 or 10 years, however long they go. I'm not that smart. But if you get out, you don't have a client. Now you need to learn, how do I get clients, right? So that's the thing about real estate. It's like you're starting a brand new business from scratch, and that's the part that nobody ever talks about. The average agent's marketing budget is like $89 a month, which, imagine if you tried to open a restaurant with a marketing budget of $89 a month. It just doesn't work. So when did you decide that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I always try and self-reflect as much as possible. I always try and remember. I always try and remember the 25-year-old kid that wasn't even going to college, didn't know, was freaked out to do that. Never in my life ever thought I would be making a lot of money and being success, like the word success and stuff. Honestly, I was in this mode of, I think I'll make something of myself at some point, but not like successful, just kind of cruise and do this. I did always have that work ethic and hunger though in me. Regardless of me being in the restaurant industry and the bartender, I always had to be the highest sales in my bartending. Like we had all these competitions. I would always get these, like I had to take the most tables. I had to do, the most of this, which has always just been in me. Whatever job I do, I dedicate myself to as much as I can because I really enjoy that. If you're going to do something, do it 110%. You know what I'm saying? Like if you half-ass something, it's going to make it harder on yourself, and now you're going to hate it more, and you still have to go to that thing. You know what I'm saying? So I've always found that being not the best, but being as the best you can be at something, like you leave it all out there, and you actually end up enjoying it more. That turning into real estate just exploded. I had no clue how much I would actually love. What it is after that first year of knowledge and all those mistakes and everything, I came this beast of knowledge, and I could use that knowledge to negotiate, to do these things, and there's so much like power in that, and it turned into a passion, right? So everyone, there's all these things out there saying to do what you're passionate about. Like, how are you gonna be like a garbage man and do what you're passionate about unless you love doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and another thing is there are a lot of people that are passionate about things, but they suck at them, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could be passionate about cooking, but if you burn everything, maybe you shouldn't do that.
yeah,
People are passionate about photography, but they take shitty photos.
yeah.
So you're fortunate enough that you're passionate about something that you're amazing at.
I think you're right, and I think there is talent, but there is hard work in real estate, right? Because you were just talking about cooking and stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of talent. People either have certain things or don't. You can for sure learn how to cook, but I mean, there's skills and stuff that people are talented with. Like think about like motocross or something, right? Like, even if you and I were like, I'm gonna dedicate 3 years to it, yeah, we'd get better. You think we'd be pro? No, so that's the idea. I think with real estate, I think that the more you can dedicate into learning and knowledge and all these other things and doing it as much as you can, the better you're going to become, and then the more you'll produce, and then the more successful, and then the more excitement. I mean, the job, like, to this day it is crazy adrenaline. It is highs like you've never felt. I mean, you got your lows too, for sure. You got those double and triple deals that fall out, but right after that, you get 3 more back in escrow. I mean, the highs and the excitement is what gave me the passion, and then the knowledge and seeing myself succeed is what really drove me and keeps driving me. Like, I don't think I've ever slowed down. If anything, I'm just in 6th gear, just going as at the pace I love to. Someone did say something though. They said that back to that passion thing is, you can make yourself passionate about something by learning the most about it, like by doing something more and experiencing it. And I think that's what happened. Is in the beginning I wasn't like, oh, I'm passionate about like doing an escrow. You know what I'm saying? Like I just didn't really know what it was. But now, like, the passion is like is in there because I know so much about it. So I've grown into that, and that's what the passion is.
Because you're good at it.
Boom.
And that's the thing, is finding the passion in those things that you're good at.
Yeah, there you go.
When you were in those initial stages of thinking about real estate, during that time, did you consider any other options, or did you kind
of? You mean like other job, like other?
Yeah.
No.
Other jobs. Other
no, man.
brokerages?
I'm that type that just. I mean, I dive. I'm very optimistic about things. I've always been that way. Once I dive into something, until I completely fail at it, then I don't think I usually give up.
Yeah.
So no, I went all in on it, and I guess it worked out.
Yeah, I would say so. What were some of your highs and some great stories that you've gotten from doing real estate?
Yeah. I mean, literally, like, it's been years. I mean, you could literally write a book. Every realtor knows this, that they could write a book with the chaotic, insane amount of things that happen in real estate, which makes it all the more fun. Like, regardless of those days where you're like, you just want to, strangle someone, like, because things aren't working out, the next day's a different day.
Mm-hmm.
The highs are, no matter what, like, are always when you're fighting for an offer, and it's that house, and you do a few things. I mean, the techniques you can use, and when you just, we were in this market about 2 years ago where there was 20, 30 offers on every house, and we all had meetings and stuff about how the hell do we beat 20 offers, and we had all these things that we came up. I mean, it was like a lineup of strategies, and that was, honestly, that was my favorite type of market, because it was fun, it was aggressive, it was.
Yeah.
when you beat 20 other offers, I mean, you got to tell your clients that, and seeing and hearing those clients. I mean, I have it on my phone always whenever I get to tell them they have an accepted offer. I have it on speaker, and my wife loves it. Like, we sit there and I'm like, wait till I get to tell them, like, we get the house. So that's for sure the highs. I've sold things I couldn't believe I've sold. I sold $1.4 million 76-acre property, Sycamore Springs. Everyone lost hope, including
I lost hope.
Josh lost hope. But your boy closed it. 7 month escrow.
I don't know how, but good job.
Yeah.
Some of your lows. What have been some of the hardest things that you've had to go through?
Yeah, I'm glad you're asking that too, because everyone expects to hear all the highs and stuff. The lows, not just the lows. I think like some of the things should be like the difficulties, like, because I mean, the benefits are incredible. You get to work in town, you don't commute, you get to work from home, you get to be half in the office, half out on the field. I mean, your days are always different. The lows are for sure when you get things that cancel, fall out. It sucks because these are things that are out of your control, and regardless to this day of how many transactions I've done, I mean, you hate it yourself. You've been in it however long, you know what I'm saying? And like, it kills you inside when you have a deal fall out. And I think you need to own those feelings. You can't just be like, oh, whatever. I think for me, how I do it is I deal with it for a few hours. I mean, I'll take the dog for a walk. I'll just get out of the house for a second. Breathe, rethink, just understand that it's a numbers game. It is a absolute numbers game. There's never going to be 1 year without any canceled transactions. I just and that's the idea about it. So that's one of the lows for sure is when you have things going. I mean, and then you have 3 fall out at once or 4, I mean, it's chaotic. Hardships in real estate are, I mean, for me, it's never been that hard to dedicate everything to this, meaning I don't have weekends anymore. That's literally what it is. I do at different times, but my weekends are now Tuesday, Wednesdays, Wednesday, Thursdays, right? Which is actually really nice because me and the wife get to go somewhere, and on a Tuesday, everyone else is at work, and we're not,
it's a different life.
It is. It's a totally different life. So that's one of the biggest things I've heard from people that always ask me about real estate. Hey, like, could I maybe just work on a Sunday? I'm telling you right now,
no.
If you want to be successful in real estate, Saturday and Sunday. I know people have like kids and stuff, and I don't yet, but the idea too is I'm sure there's balancing ways about it, but I treat Saturdays and Sundays like Monday and Tuesday. So that's, I'd say, one of the difficult things. Always being on call. I always feel I feel on call, which isn't a bad thing, because we make as much as doctors at some point. So you got to look at it that way. And then never being able to shut it off. I'll say that's like one last thing too. Like my wife, she gets to clock in 7 a.m., clocks out at 4. You think she thinks about her job? Absolutely not. She never thinks about it. For me, 8 p.m. at night, you got a seller freaking out. You take that call. I mean, you could not, but you're dealing with it in the morning at 6 a.m.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's an all-day type of thing, but you definitely, it's not like a 90-hour week thing. It's like you just have these segments throughout your week that you can't shut it off.
So what, if anything, would you do differently knowing what you know now?
I'm not a type to look back for regrets and, hey, I could have produced more that first year, or I could have done this. I should have done open houses right off the bat. I mean, yeah, you know what? In the first year, I would have done more excess business, like tried a bunch of different routes right off the bat. I was scared of doing things, which is, I wasn't scared to drop off those flyers, but I guess I wasn't consistent enough, So I guess I would have tried one avenue or a few avenues and committed a little bit to those avenues. Now thinking back, because I mean, it takes with any type of specific marketing or trying to, open houses. God, everyone does 2 open houses and gives up because, dude, it's awful. Like, you got to put out signs. It's hot. It's annoying. 2 people come in. They don't even sign in. And you're like, there goes my whole Saturday, I've double-ended open houses multiple times now. People in our, that's the idea, is you just keep doing them and staying consistent. So that first year, I would have been more. I would have chosen a few avenues, one or two open houses a week, period. If I have no business going on, done some more door knocking, not to be afraid. Like if I wasn't busy, that's what I'd be doing right now, and stuck to those, So that's the only thing I would have done different.
So what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
That's a good question, because that is always on my mind. In sales, the average salesperson gets burnt out, and any type of sales gets just absolutely burnt out and maxes out at 2 years. I was told that by my grandpa, who's been in sales for his entire life. I didn't even know that, and then I was at 2 years, and I was like, I better not burn out, after, because I was killing it in my second year. So that after I'd had that talk with my grandpa at that 2 year mark, I was already extremely motivated and stuff. I have 100% a week where I don't want to touch a phone call. I don't want to talk to a client. I mean, I'm slacking on stuff, and that's just how it goes. No one can be 100% all the time. What I do is I got a buddy system. So Sal is I brought him into real estate almost 4 years ago now. He's a really good friend that's very motivated as well, and we bounce off of each other bi-weekly or monthly or whenever we honestly need it. If it's just been and that's based on motivation specifically. Hey, like, and sometimes with downtimes and motivation, the best thing to do is to tell someone, hey, dude, like, I'm just not having a good, like, I'm not feeling it. And like, even if they're not there to be like, well, dude, you need to go and do like 4 open houses, or you need to go and call these people. It's more so just to be like, what's crazy is he was feeling the same way too. Like, we all have these expectations of ourselves that, we look at these top producers that they're always on point, that they live these on point lives, and and you got to understand that, like, we're people, we're human. Motivation just isn't there sometimes. What the weirdest thing is what you learn is it's okay to be that way. It's a fine balance, right? So the biggest thing for me is take that day. I mean, do your minimum amount of work that you need. Don't do that over above and beyond stuff. Take that day. The next day, you're not going to all of a sudden be motivated. The next day, you're still going to kind of feel motivated. But guess what? Like, that's what makes the difference between being successful is actually just now showing up. Hey, you know what? Like, I had my time off that you're letting yourself have. Now, hey, regardless, I'm not all the way motivated yet, but you're just doing what you need to do anyways. And then motivation just comes back no matter what. Yeah. So that's how I've always looked at it, because I'm very realistic with who I am and motivation. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's honestly how I think I haven't burnt out.
Specifically, can you tell me, like, exactly some things that you've done that have worked and have helped you be successful? Some actual tactics that anybody that's watching this, maybe we never hear from them, we don't even know they watched it, but they are like, you know what, I learned this and this from this guy. Like, what's working right now?
You know what? It kind of goes back to a little bit about what I said with consistency. There's no one right way to do real estate, and we know that because agents in our brokerage are all different type of people, and don't force yourself to be an agent that you aren't, right? You're gonna watch certain people and you're gonna be like, man, should I be doing that or doing that? Like, be who you are, first and foremost, and build off that person. I've always been I've been pretty eccentric and outgoing and just very, like, talkative. And guess what? That's effing works because I talk to everybody, right? Mm-hmm. But you got to look at it this way: is there's introverts and extroverts, and they do just as well. If there's two different type of people that are out there doing this, and you can't say being an extrovert is any type of benefit. I mean, you're an introvert and you just destroy real estate. We're two totally different people. Yeah. Have two totally different ways that we do real estate. Tangible ideas. I would say this right off the bat: if I had nothing going on right now, I would be slamming open houses. I would be calling as many people, door knocking as much as I could, instead of waiting for something to happen. I mean, you can literally just print out a flyer of just a listing in the neighborhood, anything, I mean, everyone's like, what do I need for the door knocking? What do I need for this? And I mean, you can print it out and say, hey, I'm an agent in the neighborhood. This is for sale. Like, I'm looking for a buyer. Like, do you know anyone? You don't even have to be salesy. The idea is that from that point, I mean, there's a ton of different marketing avenues that you can, the more you progress in real estate. But I would say just dedicate to a few different things and try it all consistently. You know, for 3 to 6 months is just get out there and do as much as you can.
Yeah. Why don't you tell everyone about the neighbor that you knocked on the door when you saw the sign come down?
Oh, mine in my neighborhood?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's a great story.
So, man, I mean, I've sold 7 in my neighborhood now, specifically, which is crazy. But the idea is, I mean, you'll have signs in your neighborhood. You got you'll hit a sign up in your neighborhood and you get all pissed off because you're a real estate agent. And why wouldn't your neighbor use you, even though you've never said hi to them that much,
Totally.
So listing went up in my neighborhood. It was on market for like 250 days. Saw a few things wrong with the listing, and I saw the sign come down. I literally saw the person taking the sign down, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go over there and knock on that. Like, why wouldn't I go knock on that door when a sign's coming down? Knocked on the door. Wife was home. She didn't even know I was the neighbor down the street. They're just really to themselves. And I was like, at first she was really standoffish. She was like, I was like, hey, are you still interested in selling the house? She was like, and I was like, I'm your neighbor, right? And instantly she was like, oh yeah, like my husband's gonna come home. I was like, I'm on that one. Why don't you have your husband come to me?
Yeah.
Got the listing, remarketed it, did all the right things, and sold it in 20 days. I mean, got the best review from them. So
For sure.
that's a sale right there. Everyone asks like, where's all the sales from? And like the further you build your business, I mean, now half my business is referral based just because of who I was with it. I mean, you do a good transaction, that guy's going to remember it. Then you do follow up with him later. He's going to call you. Like, people just call me now all the time. But those first 2 years, no one's calling you, like.
Yeah, that's pretty common. I was going to say the same thing. It's about 2 years when you can expect the referrals to start coming in, or maybe someone you sold a house, now it's been 2 years and they're like, I need something bigger, or I'm getting a job transfer. And you started to see that right away, right? Matter of fact, I believe your first client that had the hole in the floor, they ended up selling within 2 years, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know how much personal information to share, but I will let everyone know that you sold 65 homes last year, and they can probably do some math and figure out that you've made 6 figures a few times. So what's it like going from working at Crush and Brew and making $2,000 a month to, let's just say, and this is the truth, making over $300,000 in a year? How has that changed your life? Not that it's about money, but fun things cost money, and life experiences cost money, and that's one thing that real estate has always provided an opportunity for. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. How has that changed your life?
I think it's the weirdest thing to like talk about. Money is like, hey, it's not about like the money and stuff, because I've never chased money, and like I said in the beginning, I was never in it I never thought I was gonna make money. The funniest part about real estate is a lot of people want to be realtors because they think it's about getting easy money and all that stuff. Where once you become a realtor, you realize, holy shit, I have to work for this extremely hard, and then you have to build up, and then you're not making those figures that first year. So I mean, some people sometimes, but no, it's usually probably in like the second year you've really building. Third year you should just be. I mean, if you made it to your third year, jamming, what you're doing, and then the money comes. I mean, I bought a house after, my going to my third year of real estate. Bought a house at 27, which is wild to me. Living at my mom's at 25, bought a house and almost 28. Financially independent. I mean, it's great. I have zero debt. I've been able to do whatever the hell I want. I paid for my wedding. We go on trips once a year, big, crazy trips. One of the best things I do like is protection for the future. Is I focus on savings. That is a goal I have every year, is a certain amount that I want to save. Because again, I've never had any protection like that before. I've never thought about it. And having that protection, just being like, hey, anything happens right now, I am safe for however long I'm safe for. And just building that, looking forward to, just got married and having a family and stuff. I could only imagine that's what everybody wants, is regardless of the house and a nice car and stuff. It's more so, hey, like once, debt free and safety for the future, and then honestly, I can't believe where I'm at with a lot of stuff, I can believe where I'm at with sales and stuff, but what happens with those sales is the money follows. That's usually how I've always run myself, is if you chase the money, it'll run away from you. If you chase the transaction and if you chase the deals, the money follows with that.
Imagining that you had never got into real estate, where would your life be right now?
Oh man. I don't think about that a lot, regardless of all the things I do think about. I think about where I was. I always think about where I was right when I met you. A lot. Not much further in different areas and stuff of, hey, where would I be without it? Because that's not what's happening, I don't know where I would be, truthfully, because this kind of fed into that hunger that I have and the work ethic that I have. I know I would have probably tried to jump back into school, figure something out, and try to do some other direction of that. But then I'll be in school debt, and I really don't know. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Like, I had no clue what I was really doing.
Just recently attending your wedding. Congratulations again. It was interesting because I got to speak to a few of your family members, and they always thank me for changing your life, and it's amazing for me to think back. And I told Courtney this. I said, as much as at times it seems like I changed your life, you changed mine, and you definitely. You came in at the right time for both of us.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to look back. It's just, I was so fortunate to just I don't drink. Why was I drinking at 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
It's like and then even 2 weeks later, like, we were just in Old Town for no reason, and I was like, I'm just gonna go in and see if he's working. Like, what are the chances you would happen to be working during that time, at that 1 p.m. or whatever it was on a Sunday?
Yeah.
And then it's like, what if you weren't there? Would I have gone back a third time? It's like, it's crazy.
It's really, honestly, I think it is wild, right? Because everyone that's asked me, because how many people have asked you? Once you start getting successful in something, a lot of people want to do it too, which I think is amazing. People that have gotten into it because I'm in it get to see a vision of what they can do. They're like, oh, like Garrett's doing this and I could do this now. Me, I had no clue where this was going. This was purely optimism and a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Which is the craziest part about it all. Like, I didn't know anybody doing real estate that I could bounce off of, and I didn't even know you yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I didn't have the excitement of having a friend that's killing it, and like, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be at you in 2 years. It was just hope this works out.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. So I do think, I think about that sometimes.
What would you say to someone who's currently in the shoes that you were in, say, 5 years ago?
Again, it kind of goes into why you're getting into it or what you're doing. Again, I'm a very optimistic, dive all in type of person. If you're getting into real estate, you need to just dedicate everything to it. And not dedicate everything by, like how we said earlier with keeping your job, right? So you keep that job during that learning experience time. But there's a give up that first year of learning and stuff. There's a big give up. You're not making, there's frustration, I'll just say this, like my mom, got into real estate, and she didn't sell a house for she didn't get anything in escrow for 4 months. I mean, she was tripping, and had no clue what she was doing, and didn't what she was doing wrong or right. And sometimes there's no wrong or right. You get the right buyers in the beginning, and you just slam a few deals in escrow, or hey, it takes 3 to 6 months to get your first deal. I think the biggest thing is to definitely talk to a few people that are doing it right. Dedicating yourself to the things you aren't that you're scared to do a little bit. Try a few things that those people are saying to do, and just staying in it. Like if you sell 6 your first year, dude, hell yeah, right? Because next year it's going to be 18, right? Year after that's going to be 35. So that's how I want to look at it. Is I never had a picture of like someone where I needed to be. It was like I sold, I think 15 my first year, 14 or 15. To me, that was the most houses in the entire world of houses, right? Like I was stoked with that. But a lot of people look at it, and they're like, oh, I need to sell this many or whatever. Honestly, just hang in there and get through what you need to get through and learn, because in the beginning, you're not an agent who could handle 30 deals. There's no way.
That's true.
So
good point.
Yeah.
Moving forward, what is your vision? Where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years?
Dude, I'm retiring next year. Bora Bora.
Fair enough.
You know what? I just growth has been amazing. What's nice is you've let me grow in this as well, which is really cool. You've been open to the ideas of you've watched me as I progressed in it. And one of the coolest things you said in the beginning was, like I want to see how far you can even take this. I mean, we're both just playing this year by year of how good this is going. What else is, what could come of it. I'm building a small little team right now, maxing myself out. I'm pushing for 85 homes this year. We're training a few guys. I see the future, just loving it as much as I've loved it for the last 5.5 years, and just continuing to grow. There's an equation to this whole thing. We're not out there selling very unique properties. I mean, we're in Temecula, Murrieta, Menifee. It is pretty much the same damn house that we're selling over and over again. I look at that too. Like people ask me all the time, oh, you should go sell in LA and sell $2 million, $5 million homes. And I'm like, I don't think you understand that with my amount of sales, I would have had to sell 27 $1 million homes to do that. And that seems like a much, much harder task, especially in LA, than doing it here where I can just keep selling the same home over and over again because I have the equation figured out, So work on that equation, and once you have that, it's fun from there,
Awesome, man. Well, I just want to say thanks for being here. You're an inspiration to everybody. And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how can they reach you?
You can just hit my pager right here or fax me.
Okay, boomer.
Just hit my cell phone, text, anything. Like I said, I'm an open book. I love talking about it. I love helping people. I mean, I know 5 people right now that are realtors because they've talked to me about it. It's scary. It's frightening. I love answering questions, so they can call me, text me anytime.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.